every advancement, every piece of technology can be used for good or for bad. Do you think that sci-fi as a genre has a more pessimistic or optimistic view of human nature?
That's a really awesome question that I was actually just addressing in a recent episode of my podcast too. And we see a shift as a real nerd of sci-fi nerd. I've done my fair share of reading and studying, and we see a shift in science fiction. In its early days, there was a particular subgenre, utopian fiction, that was very popular. And pretty much post-World War II, the utopian literature genre is completely dead. It just does not exist. And there was a specific shift in, I think, just our collective psyche at that time when we looked around at the world and we said, I don't know that human beings are really headed towards such a great future, that we're really actually capable of building utopia. And that's where you see the utopia died, dystopia rises. And then you get a lot more cautionary tales. And so in a sense, there is a real sense in which science fiction has become arguably predominantly pessimistic, though I would also argue we need to be careful about classifying it as too pessimistic, because there's also a natural tendency within any time we try to start setting up a story and telling a story where you need conflict. And so it's easier to set up the Frankenstein scenario as, science does this crazy stuff and then bad stuff happens because it's riddled with conflict and it's an easy write. It's a little different. There's also why I think a movie like The Martian represents a bit of a breath of fresh air to science fiction, or the book for that matter, because it's not a scenario in which science runs amok and it causes all kinds of unintended consequences. It's actually a very relatable story because the real antagonists of the story are circumstances. It happens to be stuck on Mars. He just happens to have to figure his way through this. And it just happens to be that using, science, physics, chemistry, he is able to work his way through each of those circumstances and ensure his survival. So there is room in science fiction for that. And so we see it in certain stories. Contact, again, is a great example of that hopefulness that actually we're full of problems and we're immature as a species, but hopefully we will reach a point where we grow past those things. But there is a lot of pessimism.
Like, subscribe, hit the bell, right here. Yeah, slap that subscribe, smack it, smash it, subscribe. Smash that